Hello, Blaze, and good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, listeners. How you doing, Hank? I'm great.
Great, great. Welcome back to Bourbon, Bikes, and Business. I am Hank, he is Blaze, and we are talking all things bourbon, business, and bikes today. So, Blaze, we got a heck of a show coming up here. Today, we're going to be talking about our big adventure coming up in July, and we'll get into that. But before we do, what are you sipping on today?
I'm taking my time with this one. So I went back to my favorite. What were you going to say?
Sipping on that Larceny.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
When I open this bottle, it just engulfs the whole room. It smells so good.
All right. Well,
How about you?
Today, I have something I talked about a couple shows ago. This is the Buffalo Trace straight rye recipe. This is the kosher version of it that I found out in Chicago. I don't think recipe-wise it's any different. It was just blessed by the Chicago Rabbinical Council.
That's wild. I've never seen anything like that anywhere.
It's a very good, smooth drink. Doesn't hurt you at all. It's a 94 proof, and straight rye. So, coming from Buffalo Trace Distillery, we both know that they make some really good products. Not much bad stuff comes out of there, and so I'm gonna give it a try for you here.
So what's that similar to? Eagle Rare or something different from Buffalo Trace? What would you compare it to?
It's a rye. I don't know.
Oh, it's a rye. It's a rye. It's not. It's probably better than a Sazerac rye, right?
It could be similar to a Sazerac. I have the Sazerac right over there. I'm looking up.
I've had that. I got that when I was at the distillery. It's okay. I don't think it's. I like the Old Forester rye. It's much more flavorful than the Sagamore rye.
I mean, it definitely is a distinctive rye. It's just a very good taste, though, and not hard on you. So if you have a long day, it's nice to sip on, and you don't have.
I know what to tell you. I went out to dinner at one of our favorite places across the river in West Virginia last Sunday, just to get out in the snow, and I had that Elijah Craig toasted.
Yeah, did you like it?
Yeah, it was very good. She even liked it too. So that's interesting. It does taste toasted, like a marshmallow kind of thing on the edge. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
One of my buddies, it's one of his favorites. I have a few bottles. I really enjoy it. I enjoy a lot of other things probably more than it, but it's a very good taste. Very good.
It's light too. It's a lighter rye. It's not as heavy, real robust. Like a Buffalo Trace, regular Buffalo Trace, nice summer light drink, you know?
Yep, definitely.
Cool.
So before we get into it, I do want to mention that we finally did get a little snow here in Maryland the other day, and I managed to get out on a proper fat bike ride. I've had the fat bike for over a year now. This is the first time it's touched snow, so it's pretty happy.
That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I only fell once. I didn't hurt myself because I fell in snow. It was kind of like trying to pedal a sled a little bit because there were no tracks in the snow yet. So I was laying the first track going through probably 4 or 5 inches of snow. And you didn't always quite know what was underneath you because it's kind of a rougher trail. It's a dirt trail. Now, I've ridden it so many times.
Yeah, you know it pretty good.
Where it was, but if you had never been on it before, it would have been a little hairy. And so, actually, the one time that I fell, that's what happened. I started going off. It's kind of like, camber?
Yeah.
Cambered on that trail, and so I just started slipping off the side, and finally, I was off
in the
lake.
lake.
So, but it was a lot of fun. I would highly recommend if you live in an area that gets any snow at all, get yourself a fat bike. It is some of the best exercise. It was an hour and 15 minutes. I only went about 6 miles. I wasn't hauling, but I mean, working through that snow, you work up an appetite. So
yeah,
it was fun.
It would be fun to get out Friday, maybe if I stay here and don't go to the office and it snows, maybe as it's snowing, because probably the CNO's packed down a little bit right now, not a lot. But if I wait till after another 3 inches of snow, I won't be able to get through it with my bike.
Yeah, so
But
we're supposed to get another 1 to 3 tomorrow. It could be another
yeah,
perfect day for that. So
yeah. Well, see what's going on.
we'll see what we can do. So let's
So
get into our main topic for the day. I'm very excited about this topic. We've been slowly hinting at and slowly discussing little bits here and there of our big epic ride coming up in July. So if you haven't been on the podcast yet or on the YouTube videos yet, and you haven't listened to us, what we are taking on a second attempt at a bike packing adventure. The
I'm
first,
just thinking, I think we need to call it the redemption ride.
the redemption ride. I love it. The first attempt was in the Smokies a few years ago, and we only got it partially accomplished and almost lost our lives.
I
Uh,
looked up that ride. Do you know what that ride, according to my Strava, and I don't know, maybe I was missing something. It said 42 miles, almost 5,500 feet over 6 hours of ride time. But I swear we were out there like 11 hours, it seemed like, and longer. I don't
we
know.
got out by about 10 in the morning, and we
Oh, we
wrapped up
started
right before
late.
dinner.
Okay,
So,
then maybe it
yeah,
is
that's
right.
about right. And with a
All
couple
right.
stops, yeah, that's about right.
That was some of the hardest 5,500 feet of climbing I've ever done. I mean, it just seemed like we were
Well,
climbing all day.
the problem, a lot of those roads, though, the stone, the gravel was so thick, it was like riding
That's
in
true.
snow. So
Right.
you would be climbing up straight up hills in this like snow-like gravel. I mean, that was not for the faint of heart.
I think this redemption ride's going to be much the same for 4 days. So
I don't think
multiply,
I don't know that the
huh?
gravel will be that harsh, but
Hmm, we'll
so
see.
let's tell everyone what we're going to be doing. We're taking on this is the redemption ride, okay?
I like
I
that
have
name.
some
That's
stats
good.
for you here just to whet your appetite a little bit.
Yeah, fill me
It's
in.
called the Pennsylvania North to South route, PANTS for short,
Pants.
okay?
Yep.
Now, there is a great video for all the listeners out there. There's a great YouTube, actually, there's two very good YouTube
I
videos.
posted it with the short that I put out about this show. So
Okay.
it's they if they look at the short I just sent out last week, but we'll put it the other pants YouTube in this one so they can
Yeah,
just take a look at it.
there's two of them. The one
Oh, what's the
that
other
I've
one?
watched most frequently was done by a group called the Pennsylvania Dirtbags.
Right. That's the
It
one I
is
posted.
hilarious. And they include in the YouTube video a GPS link to the route and everything else like that.
Ah,
I forget the other group that did it, but there are two distinct videos. They're both very good videos, and I encourage everyone who's watching this to go to those videos to see what we're talking about here. But so basically, what this route is you go from the very north of Pennsylvania all the way to the very south of Pennsylvania, and the goal it's almost like the Pennsylvania's version of the Continental Divide.
right.
That's what it is. So
And it's sort of in the middle of the state too. It's like
it's in
comes
the
down
middle of the
right about through
state,
the middle.
correct? So just to give you some stats, it's about three. The route that we're probably going to take is about 333 miles long.
Mhm.
It's approximately 27,369 feet of climbing. Okay. It's a 4 day, 3 night adventure, unless, and we'll talk about it. We want to add on a little bit. You start at, or at least these guys did, and I would suggest that we follow their route. Starts at Lindley, New York, just over the border, and
Right.
that's where you get dropped off. All your stuff gets dropped off. You pack up, you get ready, and you
Right.
take off from Lindley, New York. And and so the question becomes, the route that they did ends at Hancock, Maryland.
Mhm.
Now, you and I could either get picked up at Hancock, Maryland,
Yeah.
or we could ride into
Ride
Hancock,
home.
jump on the CNO, and
Right.
ride to your house.
Which is a pretty good ride from Hancock. I'm trying to think how many hours that is. That's
That would
almost
add an
another
extra day
day,
on the trip,
definitely. It's
for
yeah.
sure. Because by the time you get to Hancock, that's the longest day. I'm going to run through it here.
Yeah.
But that's the longest day. It's already 100 miles to Hancock. So you're definitely going to have to do another day if you want to
I
do that.
mean,
So,
Hancock to Harper's Ferry is a pretty good day because I did. Oh no, that was Cumberland. I did to Williamsport, so it'd be less than that. Yeah, so it's doable. It'd be about same length, but it's flat, so I feel good after
yeah.
those
And it's a nice
days.
trail. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to decide if we want to tack on that extra day. But if we don't, we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
going from Lindley, New York to Hancock, Maryland. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Approximately 85% of the ride is gravel or kind of in the forest. So a very small percentage of it is actually on road, which is good. I think that's what we
Right.
want, right? We
Yep.
want to be out
Definitely.
amongst the animals.
Yeah.
These guys estimated they were burning about 8,000 calories a day. So we
That's
are
a
going to
lot.
have to be prepared to eat up. So, um,
On that note, I was thinking, you said you want to do this over the 4th of July. We got to verify that these stops are open for the holiday. That would be my concern. But it's summer, so they should be.
well, it's going to be that week.
But
I
if you
don't
go a
know
Sunday, I don't
what
know if you go a Sunday if places will be open. So that would be my only concern thinking about it.
they rode on a Sunday. One of their days was
Did
a
they?
Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so I'm going to run you through the days and where they
Mm-hmm.
started, where they left off, how many miles it was, and
Yep.
kind of some of the provisions that they were able to get and so forth. And then
Okay.
we can talk about the bikes that we're planning on taking and the provisions that we're planning on taking.
And some
So,
training, which is what I have on my
and training, right. So day
list.
one, you start at Lindley, New York. It's a
Mm-hmm.
91-mile day to kick things off.
Wow.
5,600, almost 5,700 feet of climbing. You go from Lindley, New York, and you end at a place called Mountaintop Provisions, which is kind of a restaurant snack place there. And you actually go through the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon, which will be
Oh, that's
really
pretty.
cool. I've
That's
never
really
seen
pretty.
that. So
Do they go through on the trail or are they up on the ridge? Do you know? Because
I'm not sure.
there's a
I'm not
trail
sure.
at the bottom of the canyon, but I don't know if they're going on that or not.
Well, with 5,700 feet of climbing, my guess is we're going to be up on a ridge somewhere. Now they note that soon after they started, they were able to stop at a Dandy Mart for provisions. It's a gas
Mm-hmm.
station, so we'll have to in Middlebury Center,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Um, you can certainly grab dinner at Mountaintop Provisions at the end of the day, which is what they were talking about, which is in
Mm-hmm.
a place called Hannyville, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they mentioned staying at a cabin that night called something like Donnie's Meat Cabin or
Hmm.
something along those lines. And so we wouldn't have to camp out that night if you didn't want to. We could actually stay in like a lodge, okay?
Probably want to reach out to them and book it now because that's holidays, so there'll be a lot of people up
Correct.
there at the time of year.
Yeah. Now these guys, I think they rode at the end of July, they had mentioned.
Hmm.
So similar weather, which they said was hot, but
Right.
um so then day two, you start at your Mountaintop Provisions in Hennyville.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 73-mile day,
Mm-hmm.
6,000 feet of climbing,
Right.
and you end at a place called Popatty State Park.
I'm familiar with that. I've fly fished there before.
Oh, you are?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that area.
So they stopped for breakfast there. They took off from the Donnie's Meat Cabin, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
They rode a little bit and stopped at a place called Restless Oaks Restaurant in McKellahatton, Pennsylvania, where they got what looked to be a very good breakfast.
You know,
Uh,
it's Poe Patty is where Pennsylvania unpaved is. That goes through that area.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
They had
that's the same
mentioned
area they
they had
ride.
mentioned
Yep.
going past a mountain bike race, like a hundred
Mm-hmm.
mile mountain bike race or something.
It's
Maybe that
probably
was
what they're.
what it
I
was.
don't know if that would be in July because they're in the fall, but that's the area that unpaved
Okay.
goes through Poe Patty. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and they had mentioned there was a Valero gas station on the way. They passed a McDonald's and things like that. So there will be places to grab some food
Okay.
that day. And 73 miles isn't a crazy ride for one day. That's not nuts.
6,000 feet, be like the Smokies in one day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sheesh. Day three is 67 miles.
How
Another
many?
67 miles.
Oh, we got a break.
Another 6,400 feet of climbing.
Right.
You start at Popatty State Park.
Right.
Now they ended up at a cabin. It seems they have a buddy named Bearcat, and they call this place Bearcat's Bungalow. So I'm not sure if that's a private cabin or like an
Right.
Airbnb that they rented, but it
Maybe you
looks
could
like there are
Google it,
cabins,
find it.
or we can camp out that night.
Uh-huh.
Um, they stayed after the end of day two. They stayed at a place called RB Winter State Park. Are you familiar with that?
No. So I'd be just south
Um,
of Poe Patty somewhere, I guess.
yeah, it's around Popatty State Park in Woodward, Pennsylvania.
Woodward. Oh, you know what's in Woodward? That's a famous skateboarding place
Oh,
across the
really?
country. All the skateboarders go to Woodward. There's a big
Oh,
Woodward campground there. Yep. Hmm.
oh, interesting. Okay. So you camp out there, and then Day three, day three, you go from Popatty State Park to the Bearcat Bungalow. Like I said,
Hmm.
there's a place called like what would they say it was called? Homes or General Store along the way in Spring Mills, Pennsylvania, where you can get lunch and snacks. You also and Whoopie Pies, which is one of
Oh,
my
that's good.
favorites.
Yeah.
And this is close to Whipple Dam, which means it's also close to State College and my
Hmm.
college roots at Penn State.
Yep.
So there might be some things to see there, and certainly probably camping at Whipple Dam.
Yeah, you're
Or
just east of State College is where we'll be coming down through that
yeah,
area. Yep.
yeah. And
Raystown
then
Lake.
and then day four is 99 miles, 8,800 feet of elevation. You go from Bearcat's Bungalow or around there to Hancock. Now the cool thing about day
That's a
four,
long day. That's a long day,
it is
man.
a long day.
Oh.
What the deal is with day four and day three, I have a note here. We would need a place to stay or
Hmm.
camp out. Day four, they take you through the abandoned Pennsylvania Turnpike tunnels, which
That's what I was just gonna say. That's cool.
I've always wanted to do that. It goes
Me too.
through Raystown Lake. It goes
See, I
past
was right.
Wood.
Raystown. That's what I said earlier. Yep.
You do have to do Saddling Hill. Um,
Really?
yeah.
Eileen Hill.
And there's a place called Linda's General Store on the way that has both snacks and gobs.
So we're coming up over Sidling Hill from the west, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
No,
big
well,
hill.
from the east,
Yeah, from the west, because
east to west.
Hancock's on the east side of it. So you're coming west to east. You're
Uh,
coming over Sidling Hill.
I don't know. Maybe you do a big. I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, so that's the rundown. Those are the days.
Wow.
Those are the miles. What do
So
you
you
think?
start hard and you finish hard is what you
Yeah.
got to be prepared for. That first day, get through the first day, and then you're.
Yeah, that fourth day may
Ooh,
be a lot.
I, yeah, that's crazy. Pretty
Unless you want to
crazy.
break it up into a fifth day, but my wife's probably
Yeah.
not going to be happy with that. So, so we're gonna
Wow.
have to ride, or you can tack a few more miles on to day three.
No, I think we stick to what they got. I mean, that first day, once you get through the first day, you'll get through the last day because you'll be warmed up by then for sure. I mean, unless you get eaten by a bear on day two or three, you'll be
True.
okay, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, so it seems like there are plenty places along the way to both stay and to eat and to get
Mm-hmm.
snacks and provisions. We're not going to be like out in the Smokies.
All
There's
right.
that one place, the Big Creek General Store or whatever, and that was that.
Only place we found it didn't even have any freaking food. It's crazy.
Oh, we did stop at that gas station right along 40 there or
When we
whatever.
came down with all the rafters,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
That was
There,
the end of the day, though. I was starving by then.
right.
It's like, jeez.
We got our sandwiches for the bears to smell.
Right.
So what do you think, man?
Wow. So here's my, I'll call it my challenge. I put training my challenge. My typical ride is 30, 40 miles a day, 3 to 4 times a week, which is about 125, 150 miles a week, right? Throughout
Yeah,
the year in general. I ride places with an elevation of maybe a 500 to 1,500 feet on a typical 30, 40 mile ride, right?
yeah,
So we're talking about doing 80 miles a day over 4 days, an average of 6,500 feet a day. That's a little different, right?
it's a little different. Now, here's what I'll say.
So let me finish. So I'm sitting there, my head digesting this the last week, going more hills, more miles, and we got 5 months to train for this, right?
Yep,
So what I did was I looked at my Strava activity, my rides in the last couple of years, and saying, what do I do to get from here to there, right? Like that's a major difference, and 5 months is good. So I broke it down this way. I said 5 months, month 1 to 2, focus on building base miles always, right? So you're going to start gradually. It doesn't matter. It could be a combination of flat or some elevation over that first 2 months because I haven't been riding a lot the last month at all. So I'm like starting from scratch. I feel like my butt will probably be sore the first couple of rides I do. Um, Months 2 to 3. So building base months 1 to 2 rides 25 to 50 miles, which is usually my normal.
Hmm.
Months 2 to 3, I'll do my normal. I'm talking maybe 4 rides a week on average across this whole period. Months 2 to 3, I'm going to have to sneak in at least a couple, one or two 40 to 60 mile rides to build up that distance and elevation, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then months 4 to 5, at least once, twice a week over the month, a 50 to 70 mile ride to get in there. I think if we build it up to about 70 miles, just like when you're doing a century, you don't do 100 miles, but you do 75. That'll get us through that 90-mile day. You know, if how does that sound? Does that sound like a good plan in
Yeah.
general over time? You just got to stick to that roadmap and really make sure
Yeah,
you
I mean,
put the time in.
to do that kind of mileage and that kind of elevation over 5 straight days, I don't think there's any way you can really train other than
No,
riding 5, 6 days a week,
right.
doing pretty good amount of mileage, and getting in some hill work. But
Yeah.
but still, it's going to be a novel experience for your body when you're in the middle of it. Now, what
So
I
let,
will
let,
say,
let me finish here. Hold on. Talk about elevation. We're talking about hills, right?
yeah,
So look at my hat here, right? This is what's that number?
2758,
And what does that mean? What is that elevation? Trick question.
a mile? I don't know.
No. That's the height of the Stelvio elevation, the Stelvio in northern Italy. So this is my Stelvio hat, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
so essentially here, let's break it down in common sense. The Stelvio is about 2,700 feet of elevation to do it one day, right? We got to do that 2, 3 times a day for 4 days, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to do 3 Stelvios each day for 4 days. Not on a road, on gravel, with an extra 30, 40 pounds on our
At
bikes,
least. Now
right?
look, these guys, these guys did this with absolutely no bike packing experience.
I
It
know.
didn't
It's
seem
just
like they were
crazy.
like, no offense if they're watching this, but it didn't seem like they were finely tuned like Tour de France riders. Like they seemed appeared to be average guys of
I
average.
don't even know if they had a training plan.
Right. So, and they did it. They got it done. Now,
Right,
perhaps they're a little bit younger.
right.
That could be that counts for a lot,
That
but it
helps a
doesn't
lot.
count for everything. And
Right.
it they didn't also have the lightest bikes and the lightest equipment in the world. I mean,
No,
they were using
no.
ratchet straps and like regular tents and stuff.
That was my funniest part of that video. And the guy's sitting there and goes, I got this ratchet at Lowe's to ratchet my 100-pound bag onto the back of my bike. And I almost fell off my chair. I was like, are you serious? 100 pounds you guys are carrying? My
So,
goal is no more than 30 pounds on my bike. My bike's maybe 20
yeah,
pounds. So
yeah,
I'm running 50 pounds, half of what they ran. So we should be twice as fast, right?
right. Now, what bike? I assume you're going to bring the Cuddy,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
For
Probably
me,
42s on it.
I got a toss up. You're going to
Oh,
have to help me decide.
that'll
So
be easy.
I have my 3T Exploro, which is an aero gravel bike,
Mm.
and it has all the like extra bosses underneath and on top and everything else like that with 650B tires. Or I talked about this on the last show. I converted my son's Niner mountain bike to a
Drop.
gravel monster cross gravel bike with suspension. And it
I
just has a bar end shifter. It has 10 speeds.
My knee jerk reaction is the latter is going to be the better choice for you.
Really?
Did you put drop bars on that?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Drop
that
bars, bar end.
suspension might help you with the downhills. It's going to be more comfortable, I think, than the other. The wheels, they're 29 wheels on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Mountain
definitely do
bike
that.
wheels.
I think you're going to need that for the downhills on this ride over the
Interesting.
smaller wheels. And it's
Okay.
going to carry the weight better, is the other thing I think will be better.
Okay.
That's my gut. You
Okay.
can load that up better than that little. What size frame is the Niner? Is that a
Oh my gosh.
52?
Will you stop? They're the same size. I don't ride little bikes. They fit me. They're not too little for this.
Get
Um,
and do me a favor, get a bike rack for the back ass. So you're not carrying a
Yeah, I already have it in my
A
Amazon cart.
day pack on your back on
So
this.
equipment wise, what are you going to bring? The thing is, I bought all that stuff for the Smokies. I haven't used
All
it
right.
again. So
Here's
I'm
my gear list. I got almost everything here that I need. Maybe some things that you can use too. But all right. A night light for when we don't make it
Mhm.
by sundown on your
Mhm.
bike on a long day.
And
I
this is
said,
kind of coming from some of it from our experience in the Smokies and
right.
somewhat
Well,
unprepared.
I've done a couple bike packing trips
Yeah,
myself,
that's
probably a
true.
couple more than you, maybe two or three
True.
more. So, saddlebag, and I've almost bought this when I was in Denver last year. Salsa makes a rack that mounts to the back of my Cuddy that the saddlebag can actually sit on and strap
Uh,
on like they did kind of thing. So I
yep.
might pick up one of those. Otherwise, it'll work. The one that I have, it's a Revelate design. Terrapin is what I have. It's a 14 liter, I think, or something like that. Um, I have the Salsa Cutthroat dual front fork cradles, which I can put bags, bottles on, so you can stuff some stuff to balance the load out. I have a Rafa bar bag. Well, I'll put my sleeping bag and pad between the bars. I'm thinking about getting the salsa. What do they call it? I think it's a salsa cradle that mounts to the front bars. It's sort of like it's like this, where your bag
Yeah.
sits on it, so you can strap stuff
Yeah.
to it. And I think I even have another Revelate design bag that sits over top of my bar bag that I can put food and stuff in. I might use that as well. And then I have Revelate design feeder bags that I put off the handlebars towards me to put food or water bottles in. Because when you're riding long miles, it's a lot easier to go like this with a drink than reaching down and
Right.
drinking your bottles. But that way I can carry two below and two ahead. And I can carry, those are usually 28 to 32 ounce bottles. So I'm carrying 4 bottles of water, which is a lot
Yeah.
for a campground if we stop somewhere you have extra water. An Anchor battery charger for your cell phone, your Garmin, or whatever your
And I
thing.
have I have a solar
Oh, you do
battery
charge?
deal
Yeah,
pack. Yep.
yeah. The Anchor works really good. That lasts. A tent, obviously. I mentioned a sleeping bag and a pad. I've got a lightweight tent. Do you have a tent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um,
Yep.
clothing. I just probably would go with 2 sets of clothing: jersey, bibs, socks, 2 sets. I would probably throw in a lightweight down jacket for if it gets cool at night or in the mornings. 2 pair of gloves, short and long. Rain jacket, rain cap, the shake dry. Definitely you
Yep.
need that. And even my showers pass waterproof socks. If it's pouring rain, it's much nicer to be in those than regular things. I have my jet boil for food, some dried food. Just a tip. Sierra, when I was in last week here locally, the store off Buckystown Pike, I saw it had dried food for like 30% off. So I'd
Yep.
probably go pick up some fresh. Mine's been sitting in there forever. A flashlight and a lighter, headphones, maybe chilling out at
Yep.
night in the tent, and then the tire repair kit with CO2 and a tube, cash for food and possible hotel or the cabin. So that's what I had. That's my short list.
You forgot the
Pretty
bourbon.
the bourbon. Yeah, I have a bourbon flask. I do have a flask.
There you
I
go.
could probably strap that on the bike somewhere on a fork or whatever. And what I'm fueling with is usually the Science and Sport electrolytes, Cliff Shot orange caffeine bars, or the watermelon salt blocks I like for potassium. And then, like we said, gas station food and fast food along the
Yep.
way. But 8,000 calories a day, that's a lot. Ooh,
Yeah. I mean, that's a
man.
lot of climbing and a lot of miles. So,
You really got to eat a lot of food on top of just the general stuff.
right.
I mean, my challenges in summer with the heat and the climbing is cramping. And put some pickle juice in there to make sure in case I do
Yeah.
cramp.
Well, we had that problem, or I had that problem on the Smoky ride. And that was
Yeah,
part of why we had to stop is after that dog chased us and we had to hightail it out of there. I cramped up as soon as he started chasing us. My
I'd
hamstring locked
probably
up.
take some sodium tablets as
Yep,
well, just to
for
throw
sure.
in. If it's super hot, if it's 90 degrees and 100% humidity, that'll be a bummer. But
I'm
that's what I
hoping when we
got
get up into
there.
these elevations that it cools down a bit, you know?
Yeah, that's why I say it's good to have a down jacket for the morning or at night. I have an old jacket that I'll take. So here's what I came up with on Strava. I don't know about you for training. I said, okay, where am I gonna go to put in this miles and the elevation, which is different, right? So I looked over the last year or two when I used to be more of a roadie. I mean, looking at this, I think I'll have to go back and do some of my roads around here, the hills, to get the training in with the elevation. So I found one, two, three, four, five rides that I've done that have elevation, and I figure if I double them up once or twice a week, it'll give me that elevation we need for
Mm.
training. So here's what I came up with. This is my list. Hamburg Road, which I hate,
Oh,
is 2,000 feet of elevation uh, over that. We usually do about a 22-mile ride. We start at the church and ride up the hill and back. So if you did that twice, that's 4,000 feet, right,
yeah.
of pure torture. So that's one.
Although the backside, the Mountaindale Road side, is more forgiving than Hamburg. I think that's probably
But
more representative of what we're
that's
going
my
to
other
talk.
list. I have Mountaindale is actually 1,800 feet over 21 miles, that loop. So if we did that twice, that would be 3,600 feet with 42 miles. So that's a nice, more pleasant,
That's a nice test.
and it's gravel too, which
Yeah,
is
right.
good. So that will definitely be at the top of my list. This is one I wouldn't do every week or so, but maybe once or twice over my training. I probably hit the Cumberland Gap up to Myersdale, which is 2,300 feet. So if I did that twice in a day, which could be done, it'd be 4,300 feet and probably close to 100 miles. So that would be a good practice for a long day ride to do once or twice between now over the 5 months. And then the local one here, there's two other ones. Sugarloaf Mountain, which I do. It's a 25-mile ride, 1,500 feet. But I think if I did Sugarloaf twice and a couple extra miles, over 50 miles, I can get in 3,000 feet elevation. That's a good
Yeah,
local one I can do
Sugarloaf's a good climb.
on a regular basis. Yeah, and then I climb back over that mountain that's gravel again. And then this is the one that was a road ride that I haven't done in years, but I used to do it a lot. I call it the Four Mountain Climb because I'm right here by the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Between Point of Rocks going all the way up to Thurmont. And basically what I do is I go down to Point of Rocks. This is right from my house. It's a 34-mile ride with 3,000 feet if I do it once. So basically, I go to Point of Rocks, I go over the mountain, I come up the valley, I come over the mountain at Mountville Road, I come up the mountain, I go over the mountain at Braddock Heights to Middletown, and then come down and come back over one more time. So I'm cresting the mountain. I'm doing like loops over the mountain. So if I did that twice in a day, that would be 6,000 feet with 68 miles.
Ooh.
So that's,
Yeah,
but it's
that's
very
fun.
doable, and it's a
Yeah.
beautiful ride. It's nice. You're getting a break with the flat in between, but you're putting in the elevation. So that's another. I'd probably say that one and Sugarloaf would be the two I'd probably do the most close to me to get some elevation in miles, and both of them are 50 to 70 miles. I probably wouldn't do that until when it warms up. Like maybe
Right.
March, April. Start
Although
there.
maybe you
April,
and I
May,
want
June.
to start doing the Mountaindale
Yeah, we
course
could do that once
a
the
couple
snow's
times.
gone.
Yeah, right. Right now it's probably hard to do.
Yeah, we could do the Mountaindale. We can do. I hate that Hamburg, but that's a good one to
Hamburg, I
do.
think, is steeper than we're going to get on this ride. I mean, that is straight up.
Right, right. But it's
I don't
road.
think there's,
It's sort of trade off. You're on gravel and it's not as steep. It's the same kind of thing.
yeah, maybe. Well, I know one of the benefits of living in this neighborhood is we have some giant hills in this place. So I do a ride
Mhm.
in this neighborhood
You
called
do,
the Four
right?
Hills. And so it's four, I don't know what the total elevation is, but there's
Hmm.
four very steep climbs that I do here on even
Hmm.
just a 18 to 20-mile trip. So I'm thinking about doing hill repeats
That's what I'm saying.
on like
Repeats
Eagle
of
Head
these.
and just over and over and over again, maybe 4 or 5 times at a clip.
Yeah, if
And
I double up some of these regular rides I do once a week, and I go out there and I double it on a day, or every other week I double it, that would probably help. Because the key is to get that elevation gain. And if you could do it on
yeah,
gravel, even better.
and you're
Um,
right. Like a more structured training course is probably the best way to go. I've just been taking the approach of getting on the bike and moving my legs up till this point. But it probably is time to do a more structured plan and make sure I'm getting in that elevation, that mileage.
Look at your mileage over last year and find those routes, and then pick the ones like I did. Like I said, pick two or three that you can do the repeats on, and that's I think going to be the key to us getting in shape
Yeah, well,
to
it's
get
literally right
through
outside my house. I
this.
mean, this is the best place
Yeah,
to
that's
go work.
true. You don't have to go far. Now, if
Right.
I lived in my old house, I couldn't go anywhere with 3,000 feet of climbing. So that was like, maybe I'll go up to Carroll County and do some rides up there.
Yeah,
I really don't want to get back on the roads. That's the part that I thought
I know.
about with this hill road. I don't like being out there with the cars the way I
Well,
used to.
Mountaindale isn't too bad.
No, that's not. But
Yeah,
Braddock
there.
Heights, that 4 mountain climb, there's roads, but not a lot of traffic. I like I
Right.
like Braddock Heights. You have to do that 4 mountain climb with me sometime.
Yeah.
It's a very enjoyable ride because, like I say, you climb over and then you're doing the valley, then you do another climb, and then the valley, and then another climb. It's fun. It's really a pretty ride.
Yeah, well,
Um,
so maybe what we should do is we should do put on the calendar one of these big rides per month or two per month
right
going
to
up to
do
July that you
together.
and I have
Yeah.
scheduled to do together. And
Yeah,
then
and I get Brandon maybe to come down. I hope he signs up to do this ride with us. I think he
yeah,
might.
we
Um,
definitely do need another guy or two just to like make it a good group and
keep the
have a
momentum
little bit of a
going
party.
if one of us has a
So,
bad day. Yeah, for
well, if
sure.
any listeners out there want to join us, let us know. And
Yeah,
by the way, while we're in the middle of our conversation here, make sure you like and subscribe and share the videos and the podcast. It really helps us out a lot. And please leave in the comments some epic rides that you've done, which epic rides you enjoy the most, and maybe if you've ever
right.
done this pants fruit, what your suggestions are.
Hey, that's an idea I had this morning. We ought to try to reach out to the guys who did that video and maybe get them on the show. Wouldn't that be
Yeah, that
cool?
would be great.
So I'll work on that and see if we can get
Okay.
them, track them down, get them on the show. That would be cool.
Okay.
To give us
Yeah,
some
it looked
insight.
like they were either over in the Lancaster or Philly area.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah.
local boys of
Okay.
Pennsylvania. So that'd be
Well, they're
cool.
good. I think that was a good kind of preview of what we're going to be doing and the training that's coming up and the equipment we're going to
Craziness.
use. We're going to have
I'm,
to hone in. We'll revisit this topic as we get closer to July
mhm.
and let everyone know how the training is coming along, how our equipment's coming along. I'm still fine tuning the Monster Cross bike. It works and it fits. But I got to put on the racks, the front and rear luggage rack kind of
Mhm.
thing, back rack, whatever you call it, bag rack. And I want the suspension. I might need worked on a little bit.
I think the Niner is the way to go for you. Really do.
Now I also have a steel fork that comes with it. I could exchange the steel for the suspension. So
Yeah, you
I'm
could. I don't
debating.
know pros and
If I
cons
can
on
get the
that.
suspension working, I did a full clean and like renovation on it,
Uh
fixed
huh.
that, replaced all the seals and everything. But the rebound cap on it was loose, and the lockout compression is not working. So I may need to take it to the
Mm.
store to have it looked at. Because if I'm running that thing without lockout, I'll just just be bobbing up and down on it.
Whatever
So
you do, make sure your bike is fully prepped a month ahead of time.
well, the good thing about this one
I
is
know this is going to be an adventure for sure, but
it always
let's
is.
minimize the adventure a little.
All right, everyone. Well,
Oh,
thank you for
hey, lastly, next week's show, we're going to
yeah.
have, I thought, we're in the grip of winter here, so I'll maybe pull out some of my winter favorite riding apparel and go over what I've learned over my many years of riding of how to make winter riding comfortable.
Oh, let
Uh,
me share some of mine as well.
oh, yeah, that'll be good,
I have some good
interesting.
stuff.
So that's what we got next week, and I'll have to pick up a business topic. I haven't thought about that yet. So great to see everybody. Thanks, Hank.
Yeah,
Have a
thank
great week.
you. Great to see you too, Blaze. And we'll see you next show.
See you later.
Out.